backdrop. Hi, I'm George. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going on a painting adventure with my loyal companion Tilly. I'm in Somerset and I'm just going to try and find a nice place to paint. I'm going to explore a bit. I don't really know quite where I'm going to paint yet, but I'm just going to look and try and find a good place. So remember to subscribe to my channel and let's get into this video. She's a good dog. I'm painting on a linen canvas, and I start by applying a warm imprimatura to the whole canvas, and now I'm going straight in with the dark masses, so the dark areas of the trees in the foreground. I'm now painting in the background hills. So due to atmospheric perspective, the hills in the distance are going to appear very blue and quite light in values, and I'm going to make these hills slightly bluer and slightly lighter than they appear when I look at them, in order to create that sense of depth and perspective within the scene. So as I paint in the trees and hedges and fields in the landscape, I'm trying to simplify them as much as possible and just see these areas as general blocks of colour. One good way of seeing it this way is to squint and try and see those areas as abstract shapes. Once I've got these general blocks of colour in the right place, I can then go in with a bit more detail later on to pick up some of the edges and some of those subtler variations within the shapes. I'm also trying to keep the background even simpler than it appears when I look into it, as I'm going to try and keep a lot of the detail going on in the foreground, in the big trees in the foreground, and also in the grass. And in order to give the background that sense of depth and distance, by making it a lot simpler than it appears if I were to stare into the background and try and pick out small details. By trying to really simplify it, it helps it look further away and helps it push it back in space and add depth to the painting, making the scene look more 3D and realistic. In order to paint the fine details of the leaves and branches of the tree in the foreground, I'm using a very thin, fine, pointy brush, and I'm mixing the colour that I use to paint with quite a lot of my medium, so that the paint is very loose and very thin. This allows me to make very fluid and crisp marks, and as I put the brush strokes down, I'm being very definitive and just going in one direction. This way it leaves a very crisp mark and it doesn't pick up the paint underneath and create a sort of smudgy, blurry effect. Another tip when painting a scene like this, which has a lot of green in, is to really try and look for variety within the hue and the temperature of the different shades of green throughout the painting. This will add a bit more vibrancy to your painting and also help separate certain areas from other areas. And sometimes I find I even push these slight hue shifts just to make the colours in the scene slightly more interesting, and it also makes certain areas a bit clearer to see and stops them from merging into just one general shade of green. As I paint the grass in the field that I'm standing in, I'm adding a lot more detail and contrast to the grass right in the foreground, and I'm painting some of the individual stems of grass and the shadows in between them. However, as the grass recedes, instead of trying to paint every individual strand of grass, I'm just painting a broad general colour and value for this area of grass, with a few very subtle variations in temperature and value. However, I'm keeping the detail to a minimum. This way, by having the grass in the immediate foreground being a lot more detailed, and the grass further away being less detailed, it gives that sense of depth to the scene. And also, if you look at grass, unless you're really staring into it, you normally don't see every strand. So when you paint, it's good to avoid painting every single area in sort of super high definition, as if you look into a scene naturally in nature, you aren't going to see every area in high definition. So I hope you enjoyed that video of me painting here in Somerset. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram at George Frederick Thomas. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.